In a move that has truly left the esports world shocked, prominent League of Legends pro Bwipo has decided to make the switch from League of Legends to speedrunning. He began his career earlier this week, taking on the category Ruin My Career Any Percent, and I have to tell you he's off to a banger start. But in all seriousness, where is the FlyQuest PR training? He's a good public speaker, but the things he actually chooses to speak about. This all began only a few days ago in the LTA finals between 100 Thieves and FlyQuest, when opposing top laners Bwipo and Dhokla took to the stage carrying their respective team banners. Bwipo extended a fist bump gesture, to which Sjokz didn't return.
Up first in the top lane, the latest member of the heist, Big Dokes Dhokla! And when the wide man speaks, we talk about it, Bwipo!
Then, following FlyQuest's subsequent victory over 100 Thieves, the team made the rounds of the stage in a show of sportsmanship, thanking their opponent. You know, like in every sport ever. But Sjokz didn't reciprocate once again.
LTA North, and they are your LTA North Conference champions!
An incredibly exciting series.
Then the post-game interviews began and Bwipo was called over for questioning. Here's what he had to say about the games and Dhokla's denial of his fist bumps, repeatedly taking stabs at him and very clearly affected.
To chat with Bwipo, the wide man walks. Bwipo, you've been getting the community talking lately, and you've been talking a lot lately. Do you feel like you settled any beef on the Rift here today?
I don't know, apparently there was beef. I didn't know there was, but apparently. I mean, let's put it this way. I think it was a bit one-sided based on what happened in game.
I gotta ask, because you bring it up, I mean, the fist bump at the beginning of the day, also the fist bump at the end of the day, both denied from you. How does that make you feel?
I mean, like I said, it's a bit, I think it's more embarrassing for him than for me when you go down 50 and then get solo killed, like lose your whole tower 1v1. I'd be going home not very happy with my finals performance, and if you don't want to be sportsmanlike about it either, then I think you have another reason to be pretty sad about it, but that's just me.
All right, well, I asked Bucio, I'm going to ask you the same question. How do you feel about North America going into Worlds? You just qualified after winning this series now, so looking ahead for the next big tournament after the LTA Championships overall, what do you think FlyQuest's chances are?
I mean, FlyQuest is obviously going to compete for at least top 8, top 6, top 4, in my opinion. That's always been the goal for me. It's the standard I've set in my career. That's what I expect from my teammates. You know, I think all of them are exceptionally strong players. They have really strong mental, and we really fight in every game we play. So I'm excited for that. And honestly, like, outside of the fact that, like, their top laner couldn't play the game, they actually put up some really good games. So, I don't know, even despite that, like, that's just my opinion. Like, I actually thought 100 Thieves played really well today. And if they perform like this going into the next tournament and going to Texas, I think they'll actually be a really strong team, and they should be the second seed.
So you think 100 Thieves are the second best team in the region?
Yeah, if their top laner connects to the game.
All right, well, Bwipo.
Following all this, the pros took to Twitter. Dhokla begins the thread saying, "In the span of 2 months, I went from being homeless to joining the team and being 8th to playing in the finals. Very proud of our run to get to this point." And in this, homeless means teamless. He wasn't actually homeless, he just didn't play on a team. He then continues in another about his sportsmanship. "For the people saying I have bad sportsmanship, don't expect me to fist bump someone who flames my career personally while preaching about perseverance at the same time." Giving insight into why he didn't reciprocate Bwipo's fist bump gestures. Bwipo then had his own things to say about the event. 100 Thieves played great today. Happy to get my first finals MVP and would have happily celebrated Dhokla returning to form and gapping me in 2 to 4 games, but we're pretending getting called out for placing 5th on average is not poor performance. Confident he'll get a rematch, so good luck there. Then, further expansion on the situation. This is long, so I'll just recap, but you can pause it if you'd like to read. He basically, in all this, is saying he's done what Dhokla did, but better over a longer career, building himself up from places of adversity to then find success. But fans found the irony. It's not about you, man, come on. There was obviously ill intent when you said the entire dude's career was shit when he started from ground zero and became a champion. The hypocrisy wasn't about you not persevering, it was about the other guy doing it and then you invalidating that. To which Bwipo, shockingly, doubled down, further kicking Dhokla. Would you rather me saying he's had a great career and did everything he could while simultaneously finding every single Korean import I possibly could before even considering hiring him? There's obviously like a lot more to this. That other guy responded and stuff, but it's just back and forth. I can link the entire thread if you'd like, but it's more Bwipo just justifying why he's being a tool. And I'm all for trash talk, it's part of competition, but for him to sit here and say it's not personal when it's only been started by Dhokla not fist bumping him, then clowning on his career after he made a tweet about persevering is just... Anyway, following this is the community's consensus is that Bwipo was just being a dick, because he was. Just mean things. Bwipo, just say you're fucking sorry, it's not that hard. To be fair, everything I've seen from Bwipo indicates that it is in fact that hard. Bro might actually die if he apologizes, we shouldn't be judging him. 6 hours ago, Bwipo posted a video called Addressing the Recent LTA Drama and My Mental Health. It goes for 11 minutes, so I've done the hard yards and cut up the important bits for you. While he says here he apologizes, the way he says it seems to undermine what an apology actually is. Kinda like, yes, whatever. Not the tone I'd be wanting from an apology.
First things first, going in public and talking about someone's career and saying, I don't think it's very impressive, was a dick move. 100% agreed. I was uncalled for, wasn't really necessary, and I apologize. I will, moving forward, not speak on anyone's careers. My bad. I feel that way. I genuinely don't think it was necessary. It was a bad thing to do.
He then speaks on getting diagnosed with a hypomanic episode at Worlds 2024, and then gives us clarity to what that actually is.
I want to clarify, because this is something that is pretty important to me. I was diagnosed with a hypomanic episode in Worlds 2024. I was not manic, I was hypomanic. And I talked to my therapist, and he helped me understand what the difference is. A lot of people think that, I have mental illness, blah, blah, blah. People threw this around, etc. So the difference between a manic episode and a hypomanic episode kind of gets explained here. We'll go through it. Mood change, abnormally elevated, expansive or irritable mood. Similar mood change, but less severe. So this is why you saw me go on stream and I went from crying about, how I felt about the whole Hylissang situation and the guilt I felt about that. Anyway, the reason why I want to bring in LS is because he's actually the first person that pointed it out. He was like, I think he's experiencing a manic episode. Now, it wasn't a manic episode, it was a hypomanic episode. The difference being that mania is a little bit more extreme, or like a lot more extreme than a hypomanic episode. But hey, that's why he was really involved. He really, stuck his neck out and like reached out to multiple different people to bring attention to the fact. It's why my therapist got involved in the first place. Either way, let's talk about what's on our screen for now. But the point is, the difference between manic and hypomanic is how long it lasts, how severe it is, basically. But you see here, like I didn't really experience psychosis. I didn't need to go to a hospital. I was sleeping about 4 hours a night for about a week straight. And I did not mind. This is when I should have realized there was something very wrong with me. Inflative self-esteem or grandiosity. Yeah, if you read that, you might understand why I was telling everyone I was the fucking GOAT. And why I, had really strong opinions. It didn't give me a significant functional impairment. Point is, I had a hypomanic episode in Worlds 2024.
Then, more clarity on the Sjokz drama.
This is not what happened with the Dhokla situation, okay? What happened with the Dhokla situation is, I gave my personal opinion on someone's career, which I should never do. And I yet again want to apologize. That's never something I'm going to do again. That said, I do think at the end of a match, like before a match, I think it's always legal. You don't have to fist bump me. At the end of the match, I think honoring what happened on the day and shaking hands on that and showing respect to everything that was left on the rift is something that you should do. It pissed me off that I didn't get my fist bump because I offered, even though I got denied, I walked up to him and I did offer. And that pissed me off. But that's not the only reason, to be honest with you. I'm working with Mr. Gagos. He's a 17-year-old kid. I think he has a great future. He has a lot of potential. And if I was in the flip side of this and I got hired to coach him because he was struggling, I would never give up on the kid. I would refuse to play on the main roster, and I would find a solution for his gameplay. From the start, rubbed me very wrong in the first place. I think that the kid still has potential, and I don't know what he's struggling with, and maybe, maybe Sniper doesn't want to play, I don't know. But without information, it rubbed me the wrong way that he got replaced the way he did. Because I think that the way he played was extremely uncharacteristic and was not what he has displayed in the past, what he's capable of. So the combination of the fact that I was really fucking pissed about the fact that I didn't get my fist bump and the fact that that rubbed me the wrong way made me overreact, and I called him out. Also, you win a finals and you get a nice, a big lead. You feel like, you just carried game 3. You had a very good game 4 early game, like you were owning in lane. I did run it down in team fights, but still, I was on a pretty big high from the fact that I was owning in lane. It certainly didn't help in closing my mouth.
He then talks on his own struggles and what led him to the position he's in today.
The reason why I lashed out and made the tweet was because from what I could read online, people were saying that I go through fake perseverance. Like I pretend like I think that's important. I don't pretend. I'll tell you a little story because I've told this before on my stream, and this is not to throw a pity party. You can take it as you will, but this is why I have an extremely high standard for my own individual play and why I consider myself. I try as hard as I do. My mother was diagnosed with breast cancer around the age of me being 16, and my mother supported me trying to go pro when I was not making any income and I was not working for about 2 years while undergoing treatment for her breast cancer. To this day, I will be grateful until the day I die for the fact that my mother made this sacrifice, and I will never allow myself not to be the best. I don't think 5th place is good enough. I don't think 6th place is good enough. My mother did not sacrifice what she did for me to be that.
With all this, Dhokla didn't really respond until, if you think that's the end of the situation, oh boy. Earlier today, Bwipo clicked go live, the biggest mistake of his career, because on this live stream, he proceeded to explain why he thinks women can't be competitive players.
Well, I think there's just not enough support for female pro players and female, like, basically, like, women's anatomy and their monthly cycles are extremely different from males, and there's no proper support system for women to go through what they're going through when it comes to competition, in my opinion, at least. And I think a lot of people, like, even men that play this game, just tilt out of their fucking minds when they play League of Legends. So when a woman is on the wrong part of the month to play competitively, right? I mean, there's a time in the month where you should not be fucking playing competitive games as a woman, in my opinion. This is my experience having lived with one a while. She played a lot of League Ranked. It was just like, it was really obvious when she was just getting super irritated at every little thing. And that's not trying to be sexist or anything, it's just the way it was. I think understanding, like, this is not a good time right now to, you know, actually just get up and grind. This is a time for me to relax and, you know, maybe do a bit more VOD reviewing, maybe do a bit more, you know, looking at the game. Maybe have a different account entirely to play when they're going through that. I think these can be solutions in order to make it a much more fair playing field. And I think ultimately the problem with this is, well, competition isn't going to schedule around your period or schedule around, you know, weeks in the month where you're just not, you don't have as much room to be competitive, basically. Because I don't think it's not possible, I just think it's much harder. Cassiopeia top lane?
Yes, you heard that right. He suggested women who play League need to have a I'm on my period account. Now, you can imagine the backlash, but one who was particularly disappointed was actually longtime colleague and recent esports on-air talent of the decade winner Sjokz, who's worked with Bwipo going on a decade now from when he used to compete in Europe. She had a lot of thoughts, so many so she made a video instead of typing them. Here is said video.
Bwipo had something to say about women and their periods in relation to if they can play League or not. Apparently, listen, I'm not the person to dogpile on someone, so I'm going to watch the clip with you and then we can talk about it. But I'm also not the person, like, I don't think that it is our duty to have to educate someone on something. Now, I do have a little bit of grace for Bwipo. I've known him for a long time. I know sometimes he says things and he doesn't really think them through and how they could land, but I don't think that's an excuse. So let's just go through the clip. Also, yes, I look like shit. I was about to go to bed. Okay, forgive me.
Women's anatomy and their monthly cycles are extremely different from males, and there's no proper support system for women to go through what they're going through.
Okay, you know, up until that point, I'm kind of like, yeah, you're right. It is completely kind of misunderstood and undervalued and underassessed and under-researched and under-supported completely that women go through their periods, which, by the way, a period for one woman can look completely different than period for another. And it's, you know, we just have to pretend like nothing's going on and just do whatever we're doing. So at that point, you can't find fault with what he's saying.
A lot of people, like, even men that play this game, just tilt out of their fucking minds when they play League of Legends. So when a woman is on the wrong part of the month to play competitively, right? I mean, there's a time in the month where you should not be fucking playing competitive games as a woman, in my opinion. This is my experience having lived with one.
Okay, first off, calling a period like the wrong time of the month. I thought we were past that, because like how can 5 days of every month be a wrong time for a woman? I don't know if I'm nitpicking here. I don't think so, but like let's not do that. And secondly, to then just kind of make the connection of like, yeah, so when a woman is on her period, she shouldn't be able to play competitively, which in end effect does basically say, well, women shouldn't be playing League competitively because they might have their period on a day where they'd have to play an important match, right? Regardless, that's just such a crazy take, because what do you think women do? What do you think women do? I mean, women are on their period bleeding buckets, having extreme pains that they have to take painkillers for, or maybe they don't. They are extremely tired and lethargic. They're out there running Olympic records. They're out there climbing the Mont Ventoux. They're out there putting in 24-hour shifts as a nurse. They're out there being a provider for 4 of their kids and also putting food on the table and dealing with all of that, caring for the elderly, being an executive at a huge company, being lawyers. But a game of League, whoa, hold the phone, women should not be playing League on their period. Well, what's next? You know, I don't know. Also, the notion that men aren't emotional in games of League, it just sucks so much, because you have to see it not in a vacuum. You have to see it in the complete society and the complete patriarchal standards we are under, where it is kind of like women emotional, so can't do thing. Women shouldn't be in workforce because emotional. Men should do all those things. You know, it's like it's all connected, and that's why especially I think it's quite ignorant to say this and to frame this as such, because that is dangerous rhetoric. And you need to see the bigger picture and the harm that rhetoric like this does do to women. I'm a little flabbergasted, but the thing is, Bwipo, I don't mean ill will at you at all, but I just think as a woman, I kind of had to give my 2 cents here. And I hope you can understand that it is a little bit out of pocket to say. And yeah, we can definitely have a chat about it if you'd like.
She also followed it up with a tweet in jest. Client update. When on period, you now receive less LP loss upon losing a game and increased LP gain upon victory. Basic attacks damage percentage increased based on which active day of period. Reduced shop prices, and Summoner's Rift music bed now lo-fi to quell emotions whilst playing. Now, obviously, Bwipo's take is wild, because it not only addresses female League players, but by extension women as a whole, suggesting that women can't perform while going through the bad part of the month, the part that actually allows humanity to continue. This would suggest female pilots, athletes, doctors, surgeons, academics, professors, hell, anyone in the workforce can't perform around their period, which is obviously not the case. If you go on Twitter, you'll see basically everyone having an opinion on this. I literally can't include them all, but for now the situation is still developing. Bwipo himself has yet to respond, but FlyQuest says it's being addressed and will result in a ban from their Discord if it continues. Quote, "We are not further discussing this topic. It is currently being acknowledged and addressed at FlyQuest. If you put another message regarding it, I will unfortunately have to ban you for not listening to a moderator's decision." And the last response of this video is Dhokla, of course, who got the last word in with this meme. So that's where we're up to at this point. Subscribe for future developments, and thanks for watching. Bye!